Take a drive through Colorado's mountain communities right now, and you'll notice something strange. Properties that used to sell in days are sitting empty for months. Vacation homes that fetched premium prices 2 years ago can't find buyers even after multiple price cuts. The real estate boom that made these towns feel invincible is reversing fast. Head west from Denver on Interstate 70 and watch the Rocky Mountains rise before you. For the past 2 decades, those peaks represented something more than natural beauty. They represented guaranteed wealth. Buy a condo near a ski resort, watch the value climb, and sell for profit. The strategy seemed foolproof because mountain property always went up. At least, that's what everyone believed. That belief is shattering right now. Pull off at any mountain exit and you'll see the evidence everywhere. Condo complexes with half the units are dark. Developments with more for sale signs than occupied homes. Listings that have been on the market so long that the signs are fading. The silence in these towns is getting louder. It's the sound of a market that built itself on speculation, finally meeting reality. Today, we're breaking down 10 mountain towns where real estate values are declining right now. These aren't old abandoned mining camps from the 1800s. These are active communities with ski resorts, restaurants, and modern infrastructure facing serious financial stress. From insurance costs that make homes impossible to sell to government regulations that wiped out rental income overnight, the warning signs are impossible to ignore. By examining the data from each town, you'll understand why experienced investors are exiting these markets as quickly as possible. Subscribe to HouseLine USA and hit the like button if you want real analysis before the mainstream media catches on. Drop a comment predicting which town faces the worst decline. Let's start with a community where government regulation just wiped out thousands of investors overnight. Number 10. Steamboat Springs. Steamboat Springs built its reputation on Western heritage and authentic mountain culture. Behind that image, a regulatory earthquake just hit property owners. Town officials passed strict limits on vacation rentals. That essentially shut down the short-term rental business across large sections of town. Here's what happened. Hundreds of investors bought properties based on projected Airbnb income. They ran the numbers, calculated monthly cash flow, and borrowed money, assuming rental revenue would cover the mortgage. Those projections are now worthless. The rental income they needed to cover mortgages legally disappeared overnight when the new regulations were passed. These owners are stuck paying 7% interest rates on properties that generate zero revenue. The financial model they invested in simply doesn't exist anymore. Market data shows the impact immediately. Properties for sale in restricted zones jumped over 50% as owners race to exit before conditions get worse. The challenge is finding buyers. Who purchases a rental property in an area where renting is banned? Values in these specific neighborhoods are falling while other parts of town stay somewhat stable, creating a confusing two-tier market where location determines whether you're holding equity or watching it evaporate. Property taxes add more pain on top of lost rental income. The county reassessed values and increased tax bills 40 to 60% for many owners. Think about that squeeze for a moment. Your rental income disappeared completely, and simultaneously, your taxes nearly doubled. It's a financial vice that's crushing leveraged investors. Foreclosure filings doubled in 6 months, according to county records. These aren't people who stopped paying during COVID. These are current defaults from owners who simply can't make payments anymore. Even luxury properties aren't immune to the downturn. Homes priced over $3 million sit unsold for half a year or longer, compared to mere weeks during the boom years. Available inventory climbed from 270 units to 381 units year over year, a 41% spike that signals widespread seller panic. Buyers are sitting on the sidelines, watching prices fall and waiting for even better deals. The town chose to protect residents over investors. That choice is creating real economic damage that's spreading through restaurants, shops, and service businesses as tourism spending declines and the entire economic ecosystem weakens. Number 9. Vail. Vail represents the peak of luxury mountain real estate. Long dominated by international wealth and premium pricing that makes other Colorado markets look inexpensive. But over the past year, something fundamental has shifted. The ultra-wealthy buyers who once competed aggressively for properties are stepping back, and that retreat is sending a clear warning signal through the market. Sales of properties priced above $5 million dropped 50% year over year. That's not a minor slowdown. It's half of the luxury market vanishing in just 12 months. When billionaires and centimillionaires pull back from a market they've controlled for decades, it deserves close attention. These buyers rely on experienced financial advisors running detailed analyses, and those advisors are increasingly concluding that Vail real estate offers poor value compared to other investment options. Ownership costs have reached levels that no longer make financial sense. HOA fees for premium properties often exceed $5,000 per month or $60,000 annually before factoring in property taxes, rapidly rising insurance driven by wildfire risk, utilities, and routine maintenance. Total annual carrying costs can easily surpass $100,000, even for homes that sit vacant most of the year. Meanwhile, Treasury bonds are paying around 5% with zero maintenance, no taxes, no insurance risk, and full liquidity. The comparison is increasingly unfavorable for Vail. Inventory data reinforces the shift. The luxury segment now shows roughly a 2-year supply of homes sitting unsold. Many sellers listed properties at $15 million, cut prices to $12 million, then dropped again to $10 million, and still can't find qualified buyers. The market is clearly rejecting prior price expectations, yet many sellers remain unwilling to adjust. Population trends add another layer of concern. Eagle County is shrinking at 1.5% annually and is projected to fall to about 52,700 residents by year's end. The town of Eagle has lost 2.72% of its population since 2020. Service workers who keep the resort running can't afford to live nearby, creating ongoing labor shortages. The result is declining service quality across restaurants, hotels, and shops. 5-star prices increasingly delivering a 3-star experience, further weakening Vail's long-term value proposition. Number 8. Durango. Durango has Victorian architecture, a historic railroad that still runs daily, and a functioning college that once provided economic diversity. The downtown district maintains genuine charm with locally owned shops and restaurants. The appearance suggests a stable, thriving community. But dig into the housing market data, and you'll find a very different story unfolding. The fundamental problem here is pure mathematics, and the numbers don't work anymore. According to affordability data from the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City, qualifying for a median-priced home in this area now requires over $150,000 in annual household income. That's what you need to get approved for a mortgage that lenders consider manageable. Meanwhile, Census Bureau data shows the actual median household income in Durango sits around $75,000. When housing costs reach double what residents earn, markets don't gradually adjust downward. They freeze completely. Transaction volume collapsed 25% year over year as potential buyers simply can't qualify for financing at the prices sellers are demanding. This creates a dangerous standoff where inventory continues building, but almost nothing actually trades hands. Sellers remain psychologically anchored to the pandemic-era valuations they saw in 2021 and 2022, refusing to acknowledge that the interest rate environment changed everything. Buyers are completely paralyzed by mortgage rates hovering around 7%, which means a monthly payment that cost $2,000 just 3 years ago now costs $4,000 for the same property. That's not a minor adjustment families can absorb. That's a complete repricing of affordability that eliminates most potential buyers from even participating in the market. The stress is starting to show up in foreclosure data. County records indicate pre-foreclosure filings increased 10% over the last quarter. These early-stage defaults are the warning signals that always come before a broader wave of forced sales. When leveraged buyers can't make their payments and simultaneously can't sell at prices high enough to cover their loans, foreclosure becomes the only resolution left. Number 7. Pagosa Springs. Pagosa Springs sits deep in the San Juan Mountains in southwest Colorado, famous for having the world's deepest geothermal hot spring. During 2020 and 2021, buyers rushed to this remote area seeking privacy, space, and maximum distance from urban centers. People bought properties here sight unseen because they were desperate to escape cities during the pandemic. That remoteness that seemed so attractive just a few years ago is now absolutely destroying property values. The market data shows a clear and decisive rejection of pandemic-era pricing. Median list prices have dropped 12% from their peak levels, according to Realtor.com tracking. When you see double-digit percentage declines in asking prices, that tells you sellers are finally coming to terms with a harsh new reality. But even with these substantial reductions, buyers still aren't showing up. New listings jumped 30% year over year as more and more sellers recognize they need to exit this market before conditions deteriorate further. Comparing current market activity to historical 5-year averages reveals just how severe the downturn has become. Dollar volume is down 31%, and the total transaction count has fallen 36%. Those aren't normal correction numbers. Those are depression-level statistics that indicate the market hasn't just slowed down. It has effectively stopped functioning at the price levels sellers continue demanding. The handful of sales that do manage to close are happening at increasingly steep discounts that set new troubling comparables for everyone else. The buyer pool that drove prices to unsustainable heights has completely evaporated. It disappeared when employers across America started requiring office returns. Properties located 6 hours from the nearest major airport only work for one type of buyer: full-time remote workers who never need to commute. That population is dramatically smaller now than it was in 2021. The properties that sold for premium prices to remote workers fleeing San Francisco and Seattle? They're now functionally stranded assets. Owners who plan to use them as part-time mountain retreats are discovering something painful. The total carrying costs simply don't justify occasional weekend visits. Number 6, Breckenridge. Breckenridge attracts millions of visitors annually and carries strong brand recognition as one of Colorado's premier ski destinations. The town has a developed main street with restaurants, shopping, entertainment venues, and all the infrastructure you'd expect from a major resort. Despite this heavy tourism traffic and brand strength, the property market is absolutely flooding with inventory as panic selling accelerates across all price points. Available properties jumped 60% year over year, according to the Summit Association of Realtors data. That's not a gradual increase you might expect in a cooling market. That's a massive flood of supply hitting the market all at once as investors and second homeowners rush toward the exits simultaneously. The absorption rate, which measures how long it would take to clear all current inventory at the present sales pace, has gone from 1 month during the pandemic boom to 6 months today. This represents a complete reversal from extreme sellers' market conditions to buyers' market dynamics, where sellers have lost virtually all their negotiating leverage. Prices are starting to crack under the enormous weight of this excess supply. Condo values have declined approximately 8% as sellers finally accept the reality that buyers simply won't pay pandemic-era prices anymore. When you see actual price declines in a market that only went upward for years, it signals a fundamental psychological shift from optimism and greed to fear and capitulation. Sellers who held out for months, hoping for a market recovery, are now cutting prices just to avoid being the last ones left holding depreciating assets. The investment returns have completely disappeared along with the price appreciation. Cap rates, which measure the annual return percentage on rental properties, have compressed below 3% due to the toxic combination of high purchase prices and escalating operating expenses. At a 3% return, you're genuinely better off buying risk-free treasury bonds that require zero maintenance, carry no property taxes, face no insurance headaches, and offer complete liquidity whenever you want to sell. Number 5, Aspen. Now we reach Aspen, the name that embodies luxury mountain real estate in the American consciousness and globally. This is where the ultra-wealthy have maintained vacation homes for generations, where private jets land regularly at the local airport, and where $10 million is genuinely considered an entry-level price point for property ownership. Yet even Aspen, at this exclusive altitude of wealth, is showing serious cracks that suggest the entire luxury mountain market has become fundamentally overvalued. Transaction volume has collapsed by more than 50% compared to pandemic peak levels. Half the deals that were happening just 2 years ago have completely vanished from the market. This isn't market cooling or a minor seasonal adjustment. This is market freezing at temperatures that should concern everyone. When the wealthiest 0.1% of Americans, people with virtually unlimited capital, stop buying properties in a market they've dominated for decades, it indicates serious underlying concerns about value and future returns. These buyers have access to experienced financial advisors running advanced comparative analyses across global real estate markets. If those detailed analyses are consistently saying Aspen represents poor value relative to other opportunities, that's information worth paying very close attention to. New listing activity tells a revealing story about seller sentiment and desperation. Single-family home listings from January through May 2025 totaled 70 properties, up significantly from just 47 during the same period in 2024. That's a 49% increase in new supply hitting a market where buyer demand is simultaneously falling off a cliff. Meanwhile, Condo and townhome listings decreased 30%, but the overall net impact is minimal because the massive single-family surge dominates the equation. Sellers are testing the market aggressively and discovering that buyers aren't willing to pay anywhere near asking prices. Properties are sitting unsold for hundreds of days in some cases, which is absolutely unprecedented for the Aspen market. Traditionally, the best properties in prime locations moved within weeks of listing. Now you have premier homes lingering on the market for most of a year without attracting any serious offers. This extended time on market signals that buyer price expectations and seller price expectations have separated dramatically, creating a standoff where no transactions occur. Number 4. Silverthorne. Silverthorne sits at a strategic Interstate 70 location in Summit County, positioned perfectly as a gateway to multiple ski resorts. During the pandemic, this town embodied the Zoomtown phenomenon that swept across mountain communities. Remote workers and investors flooded in, convinced they could achieve the mountain lifestyle dream while maintaining their urban careers and income levels. That dream has turned into an absolute financial nightmare for the majority of people who bought properties at peak prices. Summit County's staggering 60% year-over-year inventory increase is concentrated most heavily in Silverthorne's condo market. The fundamental problem is severe oversupply of one specific product type that nobody wants to buy anymore. Investors purchased dozens and dozens of condo units with the specific intention of operating them as profitable short-term rentals on platforms like Airbnb and Vrbo. This created impossibly intense competition for a tourist pool that's actually shrinking rather than growing. The predictable result has been a destructive race to lower nightly rates that has destroyed profitability across the entire market. Taxable sales data in Silverthorne declined noticeably during the 2024 to 2025 season, indicating measurably reduced economic activity throughout the town. When sales tax revenue falls in a tourism-dependent community, it definitely means fewer visitors are coming, and the ones who do come are spending considerably less money. This negative trend impacts everyone from restaurants to retail shops to the vacation rental operators who depend entirely on steady booking volume to cover their mortgages. Short-term rental bookings specifically dropped 10% in the first quarter of 2025, according to industry tracking data, confirming the downward trend is accelerating. The absorption rate decline tells you exactly how long properties are sitting unsold in today's market. During the pandemic boom, condos typically moved within about 1 month of listing. Now they're sitting on the market for 6 months on average, and many individual units have been listed substantially longer without attracting a single serious offer. Number 3. Frisco. Frisco sits just minutes away from Silverthorne, essentially a sister town facing all the identical inventory problems and oversupply issues, but with an additional layer of existential risk that makes the situation even more serious. In May 2025, a fire broke out dangerously close to a shopping center in Frisco, serving as a terrifying and vivid reminder to every resident and property owner that wildfire risk isn't some theoretical concern for the distant future. It's an immediate, active threat that can materialize at any moment. The insurance crisis here is accelerating at an alarming pace. Major national insurance carriers are systematically reducing their exposure to wildfire-prone mountain areas or exiting these markets entirely, leaving homeowners desperately searching to find any coverage they can get. Some property owners are being pushed onto the Colorado FAIR Plan, which serves as the state's insurer of last resort, specifically for people who have been rejected by at least 3 different private insurance carriers. This isn't preferred coverage with competitive rates. This is emergency coverage at significantly elevated prices with potentially limited benefits and higher deductibles. Premium increases have been absolutely relentless over the past several years. Data shows this specific zip code experienced jumps exceeding $1,000 between 2018 and 2022, and that substantial increase happened before the recent May 2025 fire event that heightened awareness. Current industry projections suggest average annual premiums in this area will approach $6,000 by late 2025. To put that in perspective, statewide across Colorado, insurance premiums have surged 60% on average from 2018 to 2023, according to the Rocky Mountain Insurance Association. Colorado now ranks as the 3rd least profitable state in the entire nation for insurance companies, trailing only Louisiana and Texas, which means more carriers will eventually exit the market and remaining prices will continue climbing steeply. The state ranks 2nd nationally for hail risk and 3rd for wildfire risk. This dangerous combination of multiple risks makes Colorado particularly expensive and difficult to insure adequately. Number 2. Glenwood Springs. Glenwood Springs sits in a narrow canyon along Interstate 70, positioned where the highway squeezes through tight rock walls with the Colorado River running alongside. Traffic crowding has become the defining characteristic of living here, transforming what once seemed like accessible and convenient mountain living into a source of daily frustration and stress. The quality of life equation that once attracted buyers to this area has shifted decidedly negative for many current residents. Property values for homes located near the interstate are declining noticeably as buyers finally recognize that constant traffic noise and vehicle pollution completely outweigh any mountain views or resort amenities. Zillow tracking data indicates that 40% of active listings in this specific area have undergone price reductions within the past 60 days alone. When nearly half the entire market is actively cutting prices, that sends an unmistakable signal that initial asking prices were completely unrelated to what buyers will actually pay in current conditions. Each successive price cut creates new comparable sales data that puts additional pressure on all neighboring properties to reduce their prices as well, creating a downward slide. Inventory levels have risen to 50% above historical averages for this time of year, creating a substantial supply overhang that will require considerable time to clear even if buyer demand somehow stabilizes at current levels. But demand isn't stabilizing at all. Investment property purchases have fallen 35% according to local title company transaction records. As savvy investors recognize the weakening market fundamentals and consciously choose to deploy their capital in different markets with better risk-adjusted return potential. The regulatory environment adds another layer of uncertainty that's driving investors away. City Council discussions about implementing stricter short-term rental regulations have created significant doubt about future cash flows and business viability. Investors absolutely hate uncertainty, and when local government clearly signals it might fundamentally change the rules governing rental operations, capital quickly flees to more predictable and stable markets. Nobody wants to purchase a property today, only to discover 6 months from now that their entire rental business model has been regulated completely out of existence through new restrictions or outright bans. Number 1. Granby. Granby sits near Rocky Mountain National Park's western entrance, positioned as a gateway to one of America's most visited national parks. During the pandemic, this town was aggressively marketed as the affordable alternative to more expensive Summit County resorts, successfully attracting waves of remote workers and speculative investors who believed they were getting a comparable mountain lifestyle at a significant discount. That entire calculation has failed badly. Inventory has absolutely exploded by 45% year over year, according to Redfin tracking data, representing one of the highest inventory growth rates in the entire state of Colorado. Average days on market have stretched well past 90 days now, meaning properties routinely sit completely unsold for 3 full months before attracting even minimal serious buyer interest. When homes languish that long without offers, it indicates severe overpricing relative to actual market demand at current interest rate levels. Price reductions are appearing on the vast majority of listings throughout town. Sellers are desperately cutting prices by $20,000 here, $50,000 there, sometimes even more, frantically trying to generate any activity whatsoever. These aren't carefully calculated strategic adjustments based on market analysis. These are panic moves by property owners who suddenly realize they bought at the absolute peak of a speculative bubble and now face the unpleasant prospect of holding these properties for years while absorbing monthly losses, or selling immediately at significant financial loss. Rental vacancy rates are approaching 8%, a level that is dangerously close to healthy market levels, which typically hover around 5% or below. Investors who purchased properties with detailed plans to rent them long-term to cover mortgage payments are finding their units sitting empty month after month, generating exactly zero income. When you cannot generate any rental income whatsoever to offset your mortgage payment, property taxes, insurance premiums, and ongoing maintenance costs, the monthly losses accumulate quickly. Many investors are now trapped in situations where selling at a substantial loss is actually the better financial decision compared to continuing to absorb these relentless monthly cash flow deficits indefinitely. As you examine these 10 communities, the pattern becomes clear. This isn't random bad luck or isolated problems. This is a systematic repricing of an entire asset class that became wildly overvalued during historic economic disruption. Colorado's mountain towns experienced extreme appreciation fueled by 3 forces: pandemic fear driving urban migration, remote work adoption making mountain living seem viable, and near-zero interest rates making massive mortgages affordable. All three have completely reversed. Remote work flexibility has been largely removed. Interest rates tripled from 3% to over 7%. Pandemic panic has been replaced by recognition that cities offer economic opportunity and practical advantages justifying their costs. This isn't a brief adjustment. This is fundamental repricing that will take years to play out. Each town represents different angles on the same core problem. Prices rose beyond what local economics can support, now falling back to levels reflecting actual demand rather than speculation. Towns betting on permanent remote work suffer the worst. Markets that became pure investor playgrounds discover that non-resident ownership creates instability. Areas where insurance or regulations destroyed business models show how quickly external factors eliminate buyer categories. If this analysis helped you, like and share this video. Subscribe to HouseLine USA for continuing coverage. Understanding declining markets protects your capital and reveals real opportunities. Thanks for watching.